All right. Hey, before we get into it, make sure you stay tuned until the end of this video because we're going to go over some recent news, including these 3 stories. Bitcoin searches surging in Africa. I want to show you a video of a president of a small nation who's bringing Bitcoin mining into his country. Then we're going to talk about this giant Bitcoin billboard, which may be appearing in a major city near you. So a lot to go over. Of course, the main focus of today's video, I'm going to show you 2 different clips from CNBC, 2 different clips. The first clip is going to illustrate how traditional financial professionals in the traditional financial industry, they're secretly holding Bitcoin behind the scenes and they don't really like to admit it, but when push comes to shove, they will admit it. And then the second clip is going to illustrate just how utterly clueless CNBC anchors are about Bitcoin. And I'll tell you, the second clip, this is the clip that they're going to show 10 years from now. Just like how we look back at Katie Couric on the Today Show talking about the internet in 1995, right? Anyways, these are the conversations that need to happen. These are the conversations that show me that the future for Bitcoin is bright. These are the conversations, these 2 clips are what you need to see. So let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody, to Altcoin Daily, where, of course, you subscribe for our daily videos on everything going on with Bitcoin and this whole entire market. So to set up the first clip, this is the CEO of SoFi, who was just interviewed on CNBC. So SoFi, if you don't know, it's a traditional financial, it's a personal financial company online. Up until now, they've only provided traditional financial services, like student loans or refinancing or mortgages or personal loans. They're a multi-million-dollar company. They service over hundreds of thousands of American customers every year in the financial sector. And they just got into cryptocurrency. So on their platform, you can invest in Bitcoin, litecoin, ethereum, and that's exactly what the CEO came on to CNBC to promote. But that's not the story. That's not what we're going to talk about. We're actually going to skip the first 3 minutes of this interview. It's where the CEO, it's just him talking about SoFi's foray into the cryptocurrency space, which is great. But that's not what I want to show you. What I want to show you is this. At a certain point, the CNBC anchors, they ask the CEO himself, they ask him, well, are you bullish on Bitcoin? Do you see a future for this industry? And what I want you to notice in his answer is this. At first, the CEO, he takes a more neutral, more professional point of view. He says things like, well, the company's agnostic. He says things like, well, we're just providing a service to our clients. But when push comes to shove, you're going to see that not only does he himself admit that himself and his family, they own Bitcoin, but also when Joe Kernan starts talking to him about Bitcoin's scarcity, he totally lights up. He totally gets it. Check it out.
Are you convinced that, for example, crypto or Bitcoin's been around, 10, 11 years now? At some price, whatever that may be, it was at 4,000, it was at 20. At some price, is it here to stay? Can you say unequivocally it's not a greater fool tulip mania phenomenon? You wouldn't launch this business if you thought that it could go the way of be non-existent 10 years from now.
We're not recommending any particular stock or any particular cryptocurrency. Our approach to this philosophically is to give the investor the opportunity to have access to what they want to buy.
You're totally agnostic on the whether it's even an industry 10 years from now, or you're pretty sure it will be 10 years from now?
We're agnostic on it. We want to provide what's available. There are securities stocks that are registered that will provide on the platform.
Can I ask?
That will have similar types of risks to them. So it's the same.
Does the Noto family invest in Bitcoin?
We do own Bitcoin.
You do?
Yes.
Were you early, or is this a more recent phenomena?
I started buying Bitcoin in 2016 and 17. And to be clear to the audience, I'm not in any way recommending that or implying to recommend it. We are going to make these products available for investors, educate them incredibly well about them. As a matter of fact, when you buy Bitcoin or Litecoin or Ethereum on SoFi, we actually say just before you hit the buy button, this is a volatile asset. Right. This is an asset that hasn't been.
You're good at that, doing the disclosures as you do it. This is from your former days as an analyst.
You can get in a lot earlier today than you could have in the last 3 or 4 months in terms of where the price is, because it's back. Yeah. But then again, it's not. It's not back to $10.
Characteristics that are very unique, and over time, there's optionality on its value. I don't know how to best describe that unfolding. I've seen these patterns before.
Can I tell you one thing that's kind of interesting? You know, I really am hesitant to ever talk about this.
It's really interesting.
The stock to flow chart that I've shown many times, which shows the halving in 2020. if you plot it out, today's stock to flow value is 82.50 on Bitcoin. So it got up to 12, 13, it was at 20, but if it has not deviated from this long-term.
And Joe, your point's dead on. There's a minimum, there's a constraint on how much supply there will be of Bitcoin at 21 million coins.
Right.
And there will be at some point no more issuance of Bitcoins, and that creates a dynamic that will increase demand versus supply relationships different than they
Sounds
are.
like sounds like you think it's going to be here, because that's like 100 years away.
But as a former
And there you have it. So he admits that he owns Bitcoin, his family owns Bitcoin, he's taking his company in the direction of cryptocurrency. I mean, it speaks for itself. And actually, what Joe was saying about the stock to flow, he was right. So Bitcoin right now, at the price of just over $8,000 per coin, it's actually right on. It's very close to where it actually should line up according to stock to flow, which is interesting. Just look where it should line up in a year or two. Anyways, this next clip, it speaks for itself. This is Anthony Pompliano of Morgan Creek Digital. He was on CNBC later that day, and Pomp, just like always, he hits a home run every time. So all you need to know for this clip, even if you're just somewhat knowledgeable on the difference between Bitcoin versus fiat currency, Bitcoin versus digital fiat currency, these financial hosts on CNBC come off as a bit clueless. This is the video we'll look back on 10 years from now. Check it out.
You say it's a store of value. I'm not going to get into an argument with you over that. I will say to you, though, we will reach a point where the U.S. dollar will become digital. Other global currencies will be digital. How then could Bitcoin be a store of value?
Yeah, look, if I'm the United States government sitting it from a rational seat, I think that they should tokenize the dollar immediately, right? If you look at China, they're tokenizing their currency. There's other countries that will follow. What's going to happen is there's not going to be a competition between digital and non-digital currencies. Every currency will be digital. What we're going to have is a competition of monetary policy. And if all of a sudden, let's say China has a digital yuan and we don't have a digital currency, it will be much more accessible for people to buy the Chinese yuan in other parts of the world than the U.S. dollar. And so you might see higher levels of adoption of the Chinese yuan than the U.S. dollar. So if we can tokenize or digitize the dollar fast and drive that adoption globally, we've got a chance to keep that as the global reserve currency.
But
now,
to Joe's point, why would you own Bitcoin if you could own the U.S. dollar?
I ultimately believe that people are going to opt for something that is not manipulatable, is not seizable, is not censorable.
Not debasable.
Not debasable, et cetera. And so I think people are going to continue slow at first, but over time, more and more people will choose a currency that a government does not control.
I like when Anthony Pompliano goes on CNBC and schools these anchors. Anyways, we're going to finish off today's video with a few pieces of recent news. I think you're going to want to see this. And by the way, guys, if you want to support the channel, make sure you give this video a like. We come at you every single day, keeping you up to date on everything going on with Bitcoin, crypto, the whole market. Subscribe to the channel if you want to be a part of that. And let's jump right in. So 3 pieces of news today. I thought this one was the most interesting. Google Trends shows Bitcoin interest is surging in Africa. So the number of people who are searching Bitcoin on Google surging in Africa. Check out this chart. Nigeria tops the charts of countries who are interested. Then South Africa, then Austria, then Brazil. You can see it tapers off rather quickly, showing that Africa is especially interested. So let's try and find out some more details. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I just want to give you a taste. I'll leave the links to these articles in the description. So Nigerians who search for Bitcoin also search for both Cardtronics and ATM operator. So Cardtronics is an ATM operator. The data also reveals that the Pivot app is popular among Nigerian crypto investors. So other things that they searched for are day trading, MetaTrader 4 software, which is a day trading software. So that kind of gives you some idea what they are interested in. So clearly they're interested in owning their own Bitcoin. Some are interested in trading Bitcoin. Interesting that Bitcoin is a global phenomenon and we are witnessing it. Case in point, I liked this tweet from Marty Bent, who is one of the hosts of the TFTC podcast, Tales from the Crypt, great podcast about Bitcoin. And he tweeted this: The president of Belarus is talking about using nuclear power to mine Bitcoin. And this is obviously a smart move because small nations could really give themselves an advantage if they start adopting the hard money that is Bitcoin before other countries. So we're seeing this live, slowly but surely. And then the final piece of news is pretty savage advertising from crypto.com. See if you see this billboard in your city. I'm sure there's more than one, but in this case, we have time for plan B. Everybody on the freeway is going, what the hell? Crypto.com, let me check that out. So, this snowball keeps rolling. I guess bonus story today, actually, Michelle Phan, who is a popular makeup YouTuber who millions of followers, she tweeted this. 10 years ago, I was ridiculed for quitting my job to pursue my YouTube channel. No one saw the potential in the platform like I did. Years later, I was ridiculed again for investing in Bitcoin and ETH. I like having the last laugh. So plenty of people will be coming out of the woodwork in the next year or two talking about how they bought Bitcoin before it pumped. And I guess we're going to finish off today's video with my tweet. Feel free to follow us on our Twitter, link in the description. Like and retweet this. 1 year, sometime within the next year, Bitcoin will break above $20,000. After that, rocket ship. That's what I think. And that is where I will leave you. Great time to be involved in cryptocurrency. I will see you tomorrow.